Hey, welcome to the Small Business Made Simple podcast, brought to you by socialmediaandmarketing.com.au. Being in business is never easy, but it can be simple, or at least simpler. Join me, your host Jen Donovan, every week where we focus on marketing, social media, and working towards simplifying your business. You with me? Let's do this.
If you're gonna dream it big, 'cause someone out there listening. Everyone's got a voice to give, and it's time I heard you whistling, 'cause there's no point at all, in dreaming small.
Why, hey there, my amazing listener. Welcome and thank you for tuning in to episode 289 of the Small Business Made Simple podcast. Thank you, as always, for lending me your ears today. I know you have lots of choices of things to do, and you know what? It's almost Easter, so now you have more choices than choices that you would normally have each week, because you're about to take a bit of a sabbatical from work, hopefully, if you're lucky enough to do that. But I do appreciate you making time for my podcast, and I promise you it will be worth it. I have an amazing guest today, Katrina McCarter, and we are talking about partnerships and collaborations, and they are one way that you can move the needle in your business so fast. Who has your audience but isn't your competition? They are perfect people to be thinking about doing partnerships and collaborations with. But before we get to that, of course, as you know, March is all about amplification, ways to amplify yourself, your business, your brand, your message as well. So I hope you've enjoyed March. It's coming to an end. I've got Katrina, and then I've got one other podcast that I want to launch. I know that's a lot in a short space, but hopefully you will make time to listen to them all. And of course, refer back to them when you're at that stage where you again want to amplify your business, your message, etc., etc. Because that's what amplifying is all about. It's about attracting people, potential buyers, or of course, existing customers back into your world. But before we get to that, I wanted to remind you all about my penthouse marketing experience. I've had so much joy marketing this and so many great responses to this, but there are still some tickets available. And so if you're sitting on the fence, I would love for you to hop on board, or at least go and have a look at the website and see whether or not this might be for you. You can find all about the Penthouse Marketing Experience, which is happening on Thursday, the 18th of April in Melbourne CBD. You can find all about it at bit.ly/VIP Melb, as in Melbourne. Or, of course, just come to the show notes at socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/289, which, of course, is the episode number for today. And while you're on my website, make sure that you get yourself a copy of Small Town, Big Impact. It's got 107 simple marketing strategies in it. It was my marketing Bible that I released last year. It's been a cracker of a seller, and I'm loving the feedback that I'm getting from everyone who has really enjoyed reading the book, but so many comments of people just going, Jen, it's just like you having you have a cup of tea with me while I read my book, which is one of the best compliments you can get. Of course, these days where AI can write so much for you, it's beautiful to see that people have seen that, this is all Jen. This is a Jen book. All my love, heart and soul for marketing is in that book. So make sure you get yourself a copy of that on my website as well. As I mentioned before, Katrina McCarter is my guest today. She is a fellow business and marketing strategist. And Katrina and I have collaborated quite a lot over the last couple of years. Our biggest project we collaborate with, or on, I should say, which you probably are aware of, hopefully, if you're in my world, is the big small business survey that we've done for the last 2 years. But we've done lots of other collaborations and partnerships together. Of course, today is a collaboration as well. Katrina's on my podcast, then she'll put it out to her world, so her audience will get to learn a little bit more about Jen Donovan and the Small Business Made Simple podcast. So, and I think in a couple of weeks we're also doing a Facebook Live together as well. So Collaborations can be big, they can be small. Partnerships can be big and they can be small. But that's the idea today, is to help you think outside the square as to what a partnership might look like, who has your audience but isn't your competition. Keep that in mind while you listen to Katrina. I'm going to stop talking now. Well, kind of. I'm going to introduce Katrina and get on with today's interview because it's so good. And I really hope that it changes the way you think about marketing your business through a partnership and collaboration perspective. Here's Katrina. Katrina, I'm excited to have you on the podcast today. Thank you so much for joining us for this great episode.
Oh, Jen, it is always a delight to catch up and speak with you. I know that we collaborate a lot, and it's wonderful to be able to collaborate on your podcast.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. So, Katrina, of course, is a return podcast guest, being on episode 121. So, if you haven't had a listen to that, shoot back there and have a listen, of course. Otherwise, we're back to talk a little bit about, as my listener knows, March is all about amplification, amplifying, brand, yourself, your business, your message. And so Katrina has come on to talk to us about a way to amplify your business. But before we get into that, just in case my listener wants to know a little bit more about you, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Absolutely, Jen. So I'm a marketing and business strategist. I work with small business owners from funded startups. They tend to be businesses that have been around for a few years already, and I really actually probably help them with a lot of the basics. Really, quite often I find small business owners can jump to kind of paid marketing activities, and to me, there's this plethora of foundational pieces that are often missing, and they're spending money where they don't need to be. So I'm pretty committed to marketing with no money activities.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that. And today, one of your other really passions that we're going to talk about from a marketing point of view is partnerships.
Absolutely. So partnerships, I think, are the number one marketing with no money strategies that we've got available to us.
Yeah. So, for those playing along at home, Katrina and I are involved in the big small business survey that we've done for the last couple of years. And look, I don't know the stat off the top of my head, but I'm sure you do. But I know that the number one way that people said in the 2023 survey to grow their business in 2024 was through partnerships. Do you know what that stat was?
Oh, you've really caught me on the hop. I'm going to say it was something, oh, I don't know, to be honest, Jen, but I do know that it was quite resounding in terms of being in that number one position. And it's something that we like to tap into each year, but it was very clear this year that partnerships and collaborations were the number one thing. But one of the things that I see amongst small business owners is that they often don't know quite where to start with a partnership and collaboration, and that leads to a whole lot of inaction. So whilst they can recognise it's their biggest opportunity, they might stall because they just don't know how to do it.
Which is why this is a perfect podcast to listen to, because lo and behold, my first question is going to be, where do people start? Like, where do people start with if they think that partnerships are a way to grow their business? And I 1,000,000% agree that it is one of the fastest way you can grow your business. But how do people even start to think about who they could partner with or what a partnership might look like?
Such a good question. I actually start with the way back, and that way back, even before you're thinking about who you might partner with and what you might offer. I think let's actually get clear on what it is that you want to achieve in your business. So let's work out what your business objectives are. What is it that you want to get done over the next 12 to 24 months? And the reason I say you need to be crystal clear on your business objectives before looking at a partnership is that you could go down a real rabbit hole with partnerships, and you could really invest a whole lot of time and energy chasing the wrong partnership that is really not helping you get any closer to that big business objective that you're trying to achieve. And I've seen this time and time again, which is why I always say get clear on your business objectives first. That is the number one thing to do.
Perfect. Spoken like a beautiful marketer. Music to my ears.
Absolutely. Look, I mean, I'll give you a story. I had a small business owner who came to me who had this incredible opportunity to partner with a really, really big brand. And they were just like, wow, I can't believe that this company wants to partner with little old me. I said, oh, tell me about the details. What is it that, where's your negotiation at? And they said, well, I'm going to do this, and they're going to do this. And I go, okay, talk to me a little bit about how much time and resources that going to take you to. And they explained, oh, look, it's pretty onerous. It's going to take me, maybe 1 day a week to fulfill over X number of months. But hey, I'm partnering with X, this really big brand. And I said, okay, talk to me about what your business objectives are. Now, when they went through their business objectives, there was a complete disconnect. They were so not aligned. And what this partnership was going to do, yes, they were going to partner with this great brand, but it was going to take them away from where they really needed to invest their time, which was achieving this particular business objective. And this partnership with this big brand wasn't going to help in any way. All it was going to do was going to leverage the fact that they were working with the big brand. So what we did, we said, okay, given that your business objectives are to achieve X, Y, and Z, let's pull back this this partnership. It doesn't have to be quite so involved with this brand. You'll still be able to leverage against the name, but it won't be so onerous on your time or your investment, and it's going to still keep you free so you can chase your number one business objective. And that's what they went off and did. So it was, I kind of came in at that critical time where they could have really had gone ahead with this original deal. It really would have sabotaged their business, actually. And what we did was we were able to save that, scale back the partnership, still be able to leverage against partnering with this massive brand, and still be able to chase that business objective.
Yeah, okay. That is why you are the person to speak to about partnerships, because that's a really big, bright, shiny object. It's like that big brand wants to work with little old me. And I know I've had that feeling before as well. It's just like, wow, that big brand noticed me and, wants me. But it's going back to those business objectives and going, okay, what's in it for me? And will it really help me achieve my goals that, I set, whether that was last year, last month, last week, whatever those goals are, depending on the timing of the partnership offer. So
Jen,
that's a really
sorry to
no.
jump in. It's probably the number one mistake or risk I see for small business owners,
Mhm.
because it's really achievable. Everyone listening, I want you to know it is so achievable for a small brand to partner with a big brand. And we can be so overwhelmed that a big brand might be interested in partnering with us. What I see happening is that we offer up the world. We go, I'll give you this, whatever it is, it's yours. And what happens is we don't have an equal exchange of value.
Mhm.
And that equal exchange of value is we're giving way more value than what we're receiving from that big brand, because we can't believe that big brand wants to partner with us. But what's really important is that we understand our value. And this probably brings me to what I would do in step 2 of a partnership, is really get clear around what your partnership assets are, what it is that you've got to offer, and recognize their value, because everyone listening is sitting on a mountain of value. And most likely, just because it comes easily to them, they don't recognize how valuable that asset might be.
So can you give us an example of maybe some valuable assets that a small or micro business owner might have?
Yeah,
Is it
absolutely.
following? Is it, email list? Like, what are
Yeah.
some examples?
Look, with clients that I work with, we go through a full asset audit. So we do look at social media assets, your email lists. We also look at things like what I call an asset of influence. Everyone here, particularly, I know that you've got a fairly strong female following, Jen. Females are natural networkers. We're really good collaborators. We know people. as one of the most hotly prized asset that we could offer a potential partner is actually warm introductions, whether that's to prospective clients, prospective suppliers, or even prospective partners. They're highly valued by another business, and we wouldn't even think about them. So
Yeah.
that's probably one of the unknown assets that a lot of small and micro businesses wouldn't have even think about. The other thing that I talk a lot about with my clients is assets that you haven't even created yet. So you can offer up an asset that you haven't yet created. So I talk about one of my assets is that I can do video and written content for my
Mhm.
partner's business, whether they want to send that out in their own internal newsletters, whether they want to put that out for their clients. I could do short videos for them around marketing to mums, around partnerships, lots of different subjects in my area of specialty. Your small business owners could do that. If they're a product-based business, they can offer up potential product. But again, introductions to potential suppliers and people that might be really helpful to their prospective partner. So there's a huge list. I think we've got about 400 or 500 things that we go through on our asset list.
Wow.
Yeah, it's quite a process because I have a methodology that I use for approaching partnerships, which I've been using now for about 12 years, because I like small business owners to understand all the things that they could potentially offer in a partnership conversation. What I'm not suggesting is that you go to your prospective partner and say, I've got 508 ways that I could help you, because, we all know that's going to be incredibly overwhelming to your prospective partner and nothing's going to happen. Where we try and get down to is work out what are your kind of core, what are your kind of core 4 to 8 assets that you could regularly rely on in your partnership conversations? What are kind of your go-to assets that are well received? One thing for me, and any authors or prospective authors out there, in putting together my book, the most hotly contested asset that I had was actually a bookmark, of all things. I had no idea it would be so sought after, and I had 2 reasonably sized brands wanting my bookmark, wanting to co-brand with my bookmark. And I was really surprised that that was just so hotly contested. And I had a situation where I'd already given it up to a partner, and Xero, who was also one of my partners, wanted that co-branded bookmark, and I couldn't give it to them. I said, what about I create a downloadable PDF that people could download from my website that could be proudly brought to you by Xero? And they said, fantastic. So that's what I mean in terms of having assets in your armory that you could offer that aren't going to take you a lot of time to produce, that are going to be highly valued by a partner as well. So that was something that I was able to create in an hour. We had it over to Xero on the same day, and it all was signed off. So it's about, by going through an asset audit, all the things that you could offer, but you still have your core things that you offer.
Interesting. So interesting. We've kind of talked a little bit about potentially working with big brands, but partnerships can be really quite successful with someone who is of very similar level in business as yourself. So, can we talk a little bit about that and whether partnerships are paid or free? Like getting just a little bit into the weeds about partnerships.
I love that. Yeah, I'm really happy to get down into those weeds, Jen. Most partnerships don't involve money at all. It's simply a really simple exchange. They don't need contracts. It can be as simple as, Jen, you've got a podcast, I've got a podcast. How about I come on your podcast and you can come on my podcast? Just a podcast swap could be one idea. Another one might be, you've launched a book, Jen. I've got a book. Like, let's see what we could do to promote each other's book for each other. And that might be, I'll put it on my social media and let's do a live together. It could be, a classic one could be the Big Small Business Survey, which is somewhere where there's no money exchanging hands. It's about a collective of 5 small business leaders coming together, because we want to represent our industry, because we're unhappy with the data that is made available for governments, for employers, etc. And it also helps us in terms of having statistics in our writing for books or articles or even speaking on stage at conferences. But you, as a micro business, you could simply feature your partner's product or service in your newsletter, and they could do the same for you. It can be very simple and straightforward. But what you're really looking for, and what I'd probably say, the 3 signs of a successful partnership for me is, whether it's paid or not, same audience, but you're not in direct competition, is the first thing. The second thing is that there's an equal exchange of value, and that can be hard to measure. It's a perceived equal exchange of value taking place. And the third thing, which is often overlooked, that I really want to put out with bright lights to say, make sure that business has the same business ethics as you. And the reason I say this is I came a cropper with this early on in my partnership journey, probably back in about 2013. I was a couple of years into running partnerships, and I did a joint competition with another business owner, had the same audience, weren't in direct competition. There was a great equal exchange of value. We ran this competition. It went really well. The method of entry was that they had to sign up to both of our newsletters. At the end of the competition, they started spamming out all the list about 3 times in the day. And for me, I only communicated once a week with my community. And so my community let me know that I had made a very grave error, and I really had to rebuild trust. I think that one thing that I caution everyone is the importance of doing a lot of work on pre-qualifying a partner even before you ever make contact with them, to make sure that there is that similar business ethics and way of doing business.
Yeah, that is so important. And is it like those few steps that you just gave, and and lots of other sort of tips and tricks that you've given through this little chat with you today? Is it important to put some of this sort of stuff in writing, even if it does seem like a simple sort of partnership? Should you, is it an exchange of emails that's good enough, or should you have something a little bit more formal?
It depends on your level of risk and your appetite for risk as well. I like to send an email confirmation through, and I'm very specific. There's no grey area. So it's very clear that, really excited about our upcoming partnership. This is what will happen. I explain what it is. These are the things I will do, and I bullet point every specific thing. I put dates against it, because if I haven't done my newsletter on the 21st of March, I want my partner to be able to contact me on the 22nd and say, hey, it wasn't in the newsletter, rather than wait until the end of the partnership and feel that ill feeling. I don't know, I've certainly felt that before, where your partner hasn't fulfilled their obligations. It's not really working out for you, and you're still sitting in some partnership because it goes until the end of the month. And you're really feeling fairly unhappy with the performance of your partner. But if you're really specific in what you'll do, and these are the things that they will do, and you bullet point them down, then you send it off in an email. You just say, hey, listen, I've just put together, the terms of or what we're doing. Can you please read through? And if you're comfortable, just reply email saying agreed, or I acknowledge this, so that you've got their buy-in into it as well. Now, if there's, if there's a bit of money exchanging hands, because sometimes one party might need to provide you with money, or you might need to provide them with money to make it an equal exchange of value or all round. In those kind of situations, you might want to do something like a memorandum of understanding, or something a little bit more formal. And if there's a lot of money on the line, or it's high perceived risk for you, then you might want to go to the trouble of investing in a lawyer to draw up a formal agreement. I will say, I've been doing partnerships since 2011, and I think I've only ever had a legal agreement once. Most of mine are pretty much emails, and they're very specific with dates and timelines against it. so that there's no grey area. What you really want to do is minimize any potential grey area.
Mhm. Yeah, terrific advice. Thank you so much for getting into the weeds a little bit with us about partnerships for sure. Now, as I mentioned at the very start of this podcast, March is all about amplification, amplifying message, business, yourself profile. So there's lots of ways to do amplifying or to amplify all of those things. What would your take be as to why partnerships are an important part of being able to amplify your message, your brand, yourself, as opposed to being a podcaster, as opposed to being a speaker, all of those things, social media, all the things that we're already talking about this month? How do you see partnership either elevating that sort of message or being better than the others? Maybe
It's
even a little bit controversial.
yeah. I like this question. Look, in terms of amplification and partnerships, one of the key opportunities that I think there are with partnerships is informing is securing a content marketing partnership. And what I mean by that is there might be a media outlet or someone of that ilk that talks to your ideal customer. That you could write a column for or provide a monthly video tip or something like that. The reason I think that this is a great way to amplify your business is that not everyone is ready to buy from you at the one time that you might run a social media campaign or some other kind of marketing activity. By having an ongoing content marketing partnership with a news outlet or media outlet of some kind, you are coming up in front of your ideal audience on a regular basis. They're getting to know you, and this is really, really important. We know that most businesses need about 11 touch points with you before they're going to transact with you. So this is part of building those touch points over time and allowing a prospective customer or client to get to know you. Most prospective clients have known me or followed me for a couple of years before we actually work together. In many instances. And so having that content marketing partnership is really important. So one of my content marketing partnerships is that I write for Pinstripe Media, so Koshi's business builders, but more so flying solo. And I have a monthly column there where I'm becoming top of mind in front of my ideal market of small business owners on a very regular basis. The added benefit for everyone listening of having a content marketing partnership is that it's elevating your profile. The greater your profile, the more attractive you are in forming future partnerships. So it has that compounding effect as well, is the other thing that I would say. So certainly I'm always talking to my partnership clients around if you're wanting to elevate your partnerships and get bigger partnerships or more partnerships, it's really important to be looking at your profile as well. And partnerships, forming content marketing partnerships are a great way to put you in great stead for securing more and bigger brand partnerships too.
Beautiful. Great answer. Thank you so much. And so, yeah, that's something, I guess, a little bit outside the square from looking at partnerships that we've already spoken about today. So that's a really good tip to sort of look at it as a longevity type of thing rather than a one-off type of partnership, which is great. Thank you so much for sharing that example as well. That's awesome. Katrina, this has been so good. I'm sure that my poor listener now has 1,000 notes and their head is on fire and they're really not quite sure which way to turn about partnerships. Because again, you know, if our small business survey is telling us that most people think one of the best ways they can grow their business is through partnerships. So this has been a great podcast to listen to. Is there any last things that we haven't touched on, or one last thing that we haven't touched on that you would like to share with us before we wrap this great interview up?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say there's so many different ways that you can use partnerships. You can be incredibly creative. One of the ways that I've used it is that I speak on stage. So I've had a fashion designer dress me, to reduce my cost centers. Like when I doubled down on partnerships, I not only doubled my sales, but I actually tripled my profit because I looked at forming partnerships that were lowering my operating costs. So I want you to really, I'd love your listeners to think about all the different ways that they could use partnerships. And there is a free masterclass on my Partnership Mastery website, which is partnershipmastery.global. There's a free masterclass and it can just show them 7 different ways that they could apply a partnership into their business, which is made for small business owners.
Beautiful. Thank you. I'll put that link in the show notes. Which leads us to the last question, and the best question perhaps is if my listener is like, I've got to talk to Katrina about this, where's the best place for them to get in contact with you?
Definitely email is always good. So katrina@katrinamccarter.com. Would love you to connect with me on LinkedIn or even on my personal Facebook page, which is Katrina Koo McCarter. It's not actually a page, it's my profile, I should say. I'm one of those marketers that doesn't do the page. I'd prefer to get to know you and you to get to know me. So it's my personal page.
Beautiful. Again, I will have those links in the show notes. Katrina, thank you so much for bringing your wisdom around partnership for my listener and myself today. I so appreciate your time.
Oh, it's a real pleasure, Jen. I can talk about partnerships for hours.
Oh dear. Well, maybe next time, maybe on the next time that I get you on the podcast, we can talk about it again. But thank you so much. It's been great.
Thanks for having me.
How did you enjoy that? Look, I really hope that you did enjoy that. And Katrina really made you stop and think about partnerships as a way to grow your business, to amplify your business, but also recognizing the value that you bring to any and all partnerships. We, and I include myself in this, as small business owners, definitely underestimate our own business assets and what we can bring to the table. And I love that Katrina highlighted just some of the ways and some of the things that we probably haven't thought of that we could do and what we might bring to a partnership. But what was your biggest takeaway? I'd love for you to send me an email, a DM, or come into the Like-Minded Business Owners Facebook group and let me know what your biggest takeaway was for this episode. There's been some great episodes in March. Like I said at the start, I have one more coming up, which is around networking. I know there's a lot in a short space of time. Next month, which is April, is all about the small business basics. So make sure you've hit that subscribe button and you come back and listen to all the great interviews and the Jen shows, the solo episodes that I do around business basics. But that's it for episode 289. Hopefully you found some value in this. And if you did, I would love for you to maybe leave a rating and a review where you listen to this, or maybe even just share it with another small business owner, maybe on your socials or via email, because that's what I want to do. I want to help as many small business owners as I can. And my free podcast is one of the ways that I can do that. So I would love for you to join in on sharing the love and sharing my podcast with your community as well. If you're not a member of my community in the Like-Minded Business Owners Facebook group, come and join. You'll find the link in the show notes, or just go to Facebook and type in Like-Minded Business Owners and you will find us. All right. So what do I need to say now? Not much. We'll see you next week. Actually, it won't be next week. It'll be in a few days when I release the next episode, because I really want to get out as much as I can under the amplification theme in March. So I'll see you in a few days for another episode. If we're not social on social, please come and find me at Jen Donovan on basically any platform you could think of except X/Twitter. Not on there. Actually, I am on there, but not as Jen Donovan, and I really don't go on there. So don't come and find me on Twitter, but lots of others come and find me. But whatever you do, remember, my small business peep, as my opening song says, there is no point in dreaming small.
No time like the present. Tell it like you feel it, say it proud, be true, and let us see you for the star that you are. No point in dreaming small.
I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land, the Yorta Yorta people, on which I record this podcast and conduct my business today, and pay my respects to their elders, past and present. I extend this respect to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here with us today as well.